Hello, welcome to Movie Musters. Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Preview, Reckonings from Season 3, Episode 8. How do we even start? The 8th episode of Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Season 3 was the strongest so far, advancing multiple plot lines and magnificently laying the groundwork for the last 2 hours. After this one, there's nearly too much to digest, but I'll do my best. Episode 8 of Season 3 of Marvin Works' Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan. Overall, Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Season 3 has felt a little slow-paced, despite the fact that tensions have been building between once close-knit groups and the fatalities have been happening quickly. And that's not a bad thing, but at times this season has felt a touch strange, unlike other seasons. Let's get started. Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Episode 8 of Season 3. Even though everyone is so dispersed, it seems like everything will come together in the next 2 hours, and we might be in for yet another brutal conclusion. Rack reiterated that she was out of the game for the most of the first portion of the season, to the point where it was pointless. Furthermore, she felt compelled to return to the game since at her core, that is who she is. She developed into a weightlifter, and she rose to the top, assuming that position. Thrived in, and for which I have no regrets. You are free to feel whatever you want about Rack, and it would be perfectly acceptable to have severe concerns about the way she raises her children, but you cannot claim that she is a complacent person. Rack has thrown herself into taking over what Unique started and trying to make it better ever since she said she was back in. Regaining Encumbrance. Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Episode 8 of Season 3. All she didn't know was that it would lead her straight into Kanan's path. Though I don't always picture Kanan supporting Ronnie, I've been thinking all along that we've been building to Rack versus Ronnie. You may call this series Raising Kanan. That being said, even if we're not entirely sure what the future holds for Raquel Thomas, it serves as her genesis tale. She knows that Rack is in charge and that this is important. It implies that you are the one holding the last say and that you have no time to pout and lose focus. Not only will you lose control, but you will also cease to exist if you become distracted or lose sight of your ultimate objective. Therefore, I can sort of understand why she's so focused on business. She needs to be. With Quan hovering over her shoulder, she's already in a disadvantageous situation and needs to act swiftly. Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan, Season 3, Episode 8, Upset Lulu. But it was so depressing to see her show such complete indifference to Lulu. Marvin seemed to be unaware of Lulu's situation in Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Season 3, Episode 7, which annoyed me. He's demonstrated the capacity to see beyond himself more than anybody else, and although he's been too busy to assist Gerald at every stage, he hadn't yet done the same for his brother. However, he turned around, particularly after he appeared to grasp that Lulu was at her lowest point. It was definitely the lowest of all to show up at Rack's door and proclaim for everyone in the neighborhood to hear that he is a killer. Lulu requires medical attention since, in addition to being reliant on alcohol to dull his suffering. However, he is overcome with a deep sadness that likely stems from his early years. Pulling her brother along Season 3, Episode 8 of Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan. Furthermore, you don't just get over that. The ideal person to assist you in sorting through the constant barrage of crippling emotions would be someone with formal education. You will be consumed by that kind of anguish, and you witnessed Lulu's growing dejection and sense of isolation over the course of the hour. Although I appreciate that Marvin understood Lulu's suffering and tried to support him, I didn't appreciate that he merely followed Rack's instructions, which has been a recurring motif in the series, and that, as Lulu claims, is the reason his life is in pieces. Marvin had to tell Rack to stop worrying, step back, and lend a hand to their younger brother. Now that Marvin is an adult, it was the right moment for him to take responsibility for his sister. And even in the unlikely event that she declined, take charge and act morally. Though it's easier said than done, how often do we hear folks on this show wax lyrical about the value of family when, at the end of the day, business takes precedence over all else? I won't go into too much detail about Marvin since, above all, he tries, but he followed Rack's script, and it now appears quite possible that Lulu won't survive this season. Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Marvin at Lunch Season 3 Episode 8. He seems to be living a death wish, and as there doesn't seem to be anyone nearby to grant it, it might come true. It's only going to get worse before it gets better for the Thomas family, who are now only holding each other together with floss and Elmer's glue. If things improve. Returning to the Ronnie and Kanan of it all, she wasn't dismissing Marvin's worries at all. She wasn't ignoring the actual danger posed by her rivals on the streets. Though it was amusing that Rack never even considered the possibility that Ronnie and Kanan were the other heroin dealers, it did serve to highlight the growing gap between mother and son. Rack doesn't seem to realize how much Kanan has changed, which may prove to be her worst shortcoming in the long run. Furthermore, how could she? They are no longer in a relationship. Rack was wise to use the one hand she had to play that didn't involve directly hurting her only child visiting the social worker. If underestimating Kanan isn't ultimately her fatal error, then it will be her inability to recognize the extent of Ronnie's threat to her. Devoted to work Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Episode 8 of Season 3. And well, Snaps and Pop as well. Despite our limited interactions with them, Snaps and Pop are the most intriguing new characters this season. They may be very get-off-my-yard one moment, and then very loving mentor the next. It all depends on who they are speaking with. Alongside Kanan Stark, as the self-described creators of the game, they see a chance to maintain their relative hands-offness while also exerting influence. They bided their time and paid their dues to be in a position where they can leave their mark without actually working. They're simply going about their business with Rack when all of a sudden she's in their space telling them what to do, and they feel compelled to clarify who they are. Raising Kanan, Book Roman 3, Standing on Business, Season 3, Episode 8. And maybe that's because they see Rack as a threat despite his outward appearances. After Rack's warnings, Snaps made a rather forceful declaration, and I wouldn't take him lightly. But is there a big part of Snaps that is afraid of what Rack is capable of? Naturally. But that won't stop him from gaining respect in the future. And wasn't that a fascinating discussion about fear versus respect, a recurring theme in the Power series? Ghosts were revered and also feared. Tommy continues to be feared and revered. Jukebox and Isha hang Raising Kanan Power Book Roman 3, Season 3, Episode 8. For the most part, Rack is feared and revered. How often was Rack discussed in a way that suggested she was untouchable during Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Season 1? She applied the lessons she learned from Defcon, giving her all to establish herself as a formidable player in a world dominated by men. Of course, show respect for your elders, but let's not act as though Rack is still the girl on the pavement performing double dutch. She has made her share of sacrifices and proven herself to be someone Snaps and Pop would be willing to talk to. Honor that. Kanan was right when he said that respect and fear go hand in hand because it takes respect for one's abilities for one to be truly feared by others. Though we're gradually learning what it will take for Kanan to get there, he isn't there yet. Snaps, your mom is an expert at what she does. Kanan, I agree with you. Kanan, and I am too. He's establishing himself as someone you don't want to mess with, using Ronnie as his muscle for the time being. And the power of such kind is just increasing. Calm Jukebox Raising Kanan Power Book Roman 3 Season 3 Episode 8. We now await the inevitable time when rivals get together to strike a deal or go to battle with one another. What a meeting that will out to be. In other news, if, like me, you believed Gerald was a repentant jerk coming to assist Marvin in his quest for transformation, you were taken aback to hear that he's actually a rat. Even after supporters cried out that Gerald was dishonest, I feel misled and confused because I didn't see this coming. It speaks volumes about the writing and storytelling skills of the authors, even if I've seen too much television to be fooled this easily. Gerald came across as fragile when we first met him in the anger management class, and that was how he continued to show up this season. A character like that allows you, the viewer, to relax. Although Marvin has been supporting Gerald, we now know that the feds were alerted to his drug problems and he is ruining his life with the help of a friend. Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan, Episode 7 of Season 3, concerned Marvin. At the diner, Gerald was acting way too aggressively. And to be honest, this was the first instance in which he appeared genuinely restless and as though he was actively seeking out evidence against him. Gerald was going too far, Marvin realized, but did he also know he was a snitch? He would never have thought that the man who had him sitting there eating pancakes with his girls was deliberately working on his downfall, in my opinion. And when he discovers that's the case, he will be completely destroyed. But Malcolm Howard, not Gerald, is the true key to all of this. He's going to be in a situation where he finds out who Gerald is pretty soon and has to make a choice. He could keep the knowledge to himself and let Rack, Kanan, and Marvin take the blame for different things, leaving him out of the mess. Alternatively, he could alert Marvin and Rack, which would surely set off a chain reaction of violence that would slow the waves but not stop them from reaching the coast. Episode 7 of Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan features an angry Howard. Choices, choices, choices. As the finals draws near, there are a ton of factors for everyone to think about. Everything additional you should know. Rack has recently shown a willingness to pitch in and help out. In addition to killing Juliana, she also tormented her. What a speech about success and failure. Rack genuinely isn't one to slip frequently, and when he does, she'll make sure to remember it. I might be able to remember from someone in the comments. Does Jukebox join the armed forces? Is that how her dreams about Buddha finish in the end? Famous out and about Raising Kanan, Power Book Roman 3, Season 3, Episode 8. They're not going to let this go, so silly me for thinking Howard would get away with killing Shannon right quickly. However, Captain Burke, conducting his own little research, might discover him in a dangerous place. Has anybody given Famous a hug yet? I find it terrible that he always seems as a shadow of his former self. Fair play for the stars. Without a doubt, London Brown is the season's MVP. He's killing it on everything, and he has hilarious timing beyond compare. He has a captivating presence on television, and this hour was a fantastic display of his skills. Crystal needs to leave. She's a vindictive, cruel girl, and her act is already pretty worn out. Power Book Roman 3, Raising Kanan Season 3, Episode 8, Flirty Meeting. Although Pernissa was being sensible by staying out of the Rack and Ronnie drama, it was funny that she mentioned his girlfriend in passing. I've declared this one to be the finest of the season, and if you agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments. Please do me a favor and share your thoughts in the space provided below, along with your predictions for when this season will end. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.